Hi folks, it's Andy. I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to today's Kendo rant. Right, let's get to the questions. I'll start off with the ones that came on the comments from the last couple of videos. This says, I'm going to go to a competition at the next Sunday. The question is that how do you fight Kusarigama, Nito, Naginata or Tankendo? Okay, so Kusarigama and Nito and Naginata and Tankendo are different martial arts separate to Kendo. So if you're going to a Kendo tournament next week, you won't have to fight any of those because they're separate martial arts. Kusarigama, for anybody, I'm sure someone's going to ask me what it is. It's a sickle and chain. That's literally what it means. It's like a sickle. So it's a stick with a blade on it. And then on the top, there's a long chain with a ball on the end. Yeah. So the answer is how to fight them is you don't. So next one. Hi Andy, in a few days I'll be travelling to Japan and I'd like to hear some tips from you about how to carry bogu in my luggage. Small bogu for a person about 1.5 meters for my girlfriend. Does the door usually break? Any special care that I should take? Thanks for your advice. Okay, so I normally just put it in my suitcase when I travel with my bogu. If you've got a synthetic door, not a bamboo door, then you probably don't really need to worry about it breaking. Just make sure it's like at the bottom of the suitcase so it hasn't got much room to move around. But if you've got a decent enough size suitcase, just pack it in there, pack some stuff around it. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Bogu's not particularly delicate. It's there to be beat up and hit, so I don't think you need to worry about it so much. Like I say, if it's a synthetic door, you won't have to worry about it breaking. It's best to use a hard suitcase though if you've got one, but even if you don't, I think you'll be fine. Okay, next one. A question with Koto type Shinai. I saw one of those sold when I went to a tournament, and the seller said that since its center of weight is quite different from other types of Shinais, that you need to be like 4th dan and up to use it in the correct way. What's your experience with this kind of Shinai, and what do you think it takes to use a Koto Shinai correctly? And does Shinai type affects the effect of training? Thank you. Okay, so sorry. I'm going to just say it. Whoever told you have to be a certain downgrade to use a certain Shinai is talking total nonsense. That's rubbish. You don't need to be a certain grade to use a certain type of Shinai or to get the benefits of a certain type of Shinai. They're not, it just doesn't work like that. Right, Koto Shinai. First of all, Koto Shinai is the type of Shinai that I've got one here. Let me just grab it. This is a Koto Shinai. It's basically a similar sort of length all the way along, whereas a Dobari Shinai is fatter here and thinner at the tip. It's about the kind of balance that it has. So if it's a Koto Shinai, the balance is pretty much evenly distributed along the blade of the Shinai, whereas a Dobari Shinai, because it's fatter here and thinner here, has the weight distributed towards the hands more, which makes the tip feel a little bit lighter. Some people sort of like the Koto Shinai because it has a kind of sort of heavier feel and delivers more sort of solid hits. You do see a lot of high-graded senseis liking them because it sort of encourages that sort of one-shot style kendo. But that isn't to say it's reserved specifically for them. In terms of I use Koto Shinai mainly for like uchikomi and kirikaishi because they're thicker all the way along and they're more durable, so they're really good for like training. So I use them a lot, like I say, for doing lots of kirikaishi and for doing uchikomi. And then I'll switch to like a dobari or I like the KendoStar all-purpose Shinais for jigeko or something like that. So I get a better feel for it. And that's my preference. I mean, I don't think you need to overthink it that much, right? The best thing you can do is just try different types of Shinai and then find what you like the balance and feel of. Don't worry too much about, oh, this is a Kotogata, this is a Dobari type, this is a Jissengata, or this is this, or this is that. Okay, just find the types of Shinai that you like the feel of and then go with that. And I'm sure you'll be fine. As I said, needing to be a certain downgrade before you can get the benefit of a specific Shinai is total rubbish. So yeah, I mean, that just shows you what that vendor knows about Kendo. Okay. Okay, next one. A quick question. Is it considered ippon when the opponent advances towards you and raising the Shinai in a block position, the Mamori position, but not sample, like halfway to Jordan? So I'm guessing a bit like this. So kind of like this, like halfway to Jordan. Protecting men and maybe kote, and then goes their men strike sideways, probably like this. Like this. I see a lot of fights, even in Japan, where they do semi and then assume that sort of stance, almost waiting for the kote or men strike, then waits for the Shinai to hit, and then goes for the men or kote, for instance. Of course, that is, in the majority of times, both end up in Subzeri, and one of them wants to take the strike and open the counter attack. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so I'm not sure I totally follow, but if you're asking me, okay, if I go from here and if I kind of come up here and then keep going forward and then hit men this way, and it's kind of like a sideways men like this, or even from here, this kind of men like this, like on the basis of that alone, you can't say that it's ippon, but that's not a reason to say it's not ippon. If you make the strike clearly and cleanly, and this action was enough to break the opponent's kamae, then in my opinion, yeah, then that can be awarded as ippon. I don't see why not. Is it likely to actually sort of play out that way? Probably not. But because you're bringing the Shinai back here and then going to take it all the way back over there, it's not the most efficient way to attack someone's men, and I think it's quite predictable. So I don't imagine it being a very effective technique. But to say that that itself negates its ability to be awarded ippon, I don't think so. Next one, two-part question here. I'm 34 and I've returned to Kendo after a very long break. 10 plus years, okay. After repeatedly practicing basic waza to remember proper form, I find my left elbow is starting to hurt. I'm consciously trying to relax my arms and torso whilst training, but right after striking, after a while, I feel the pain in the elbow. Sorry, this is the first time reading this question out, sorry. I'm kind of reading it a bit choppy. Sorry about that. Could it be bad tenuchi? So basically, you're trying to relax after hitting, but you're feeling pain in your elbow. Okay, so from this question, what sort of stretching routine would you suggest before and after practice? Also, do elaborate more on hikiwaza. It's the hardest thing for me still. Okay, so you're 34, all right? So, and you had a break for 10 years. And you're getting pain after you're hitting, pain in your elbows after you're hitting. Could it be bad tenuchi? Yeah, it could be. I imagine there's a really common sort of way of cutting that a lot of people do, where they'll kind of engage their elbows too much, kind of like this, where the elbows engage here and then push this way. Or if you're kind of elbows are stuck out this way and you're hitting like this, these are all things that could potentially do it. Now, I'm no doctor, right? I'm no medical professional. I could be totally wrong, all right? So if, don't sue me. But basically, I see this sometimes, this kind of up, down, push sort of thing. And this isn't a good way to cut, okay? So it's not going to get you the correct sae in your strike. And I reckon that's going to result in elbow pain as well. When it needs to be from here, it needs to come straight down. Men, like this. Men, like this. Men, not like this, yeah? I've done a video about practicing stability at home, and I think I talked a bit about it in that. So yeah, possibly you've got a little bit too much tension overall as you're striking, and then if your elbows are sort of engaged too much in the action, you don't need to use your elbows that much when you're striking, especially small waza. Bam, like this, bam. Not like this, like that, but just this way, like this, yeah? So you might be overusing your elbows, if that makes sense. In terms of stretching, I don't really want to advise you too much on that, to be honest, because I don't know enough about it. It's not my area of specialization. It's, I do a stretching routine that kind of I followed on from my dojo, and what I learned in Japan, which probably isn't the most up to date sort of thing in terms of modern science. But I'd follow the sort of stretching routine that your dojo is doing. And look, if it's starting to really give you a lot of pain afterwards, then I'd think about talking to a professional about it, like a physiotherapist or a doctor or whatever, somebody that knows more about it than a guy on the internet. Sorry, I can't help you a bit more than that, sorry. About elaborating more on Hikiwaza, yeah, I'd love to elaborate more on Hikiwaza. Definitely will do a bit more about it in the future on the Kendo show. I know it's hard for lots of people, and the reason it's hard for most of us is because we don't practice it enough. We don't get, we often get to Tsubuzeri and then just walk out of it. Get to Tsubuzeri, walk out of it. And that happens in Shiai as well as Jigeko. I see that so much outside of Japan. When I see Shiai, is people get to Tsubuzeri and they kind of stand there for a bit and they kind of don't really know what to do and then just walk backwards. It is hard, but practice it more. Yeah, practice your Hikiwaza more, and you'll definitely improve. Okay, last question. Hi Andy, you have a lot of experience with Kendo in a Japanese context. I don't know if I have a lot of experience, but comparatively, I was wondering whether you have a good idea about the level of Kendo in different kinds of tournaments. Say, for example, professional level tournaments and so on, stuff that you've been talking about. In particular, a country where more than 1.5 million Kendo Dan holders and an unbeatable national team. Are there some tournaments where, for example, high-level national team level Western Kendoka, say the US national team or French, Italian, other more internationally successful teams would have a real shot? So first off, I wouldn't say that the Japanese national team is unbeatable. They've been beaten by the US national team before. So they're certainly not unbeatable. But I get what you're saying. I know what you mean. All right. And yeah, the answer to your question is yeah. There's certainly tournaments that particularly national team level members from outside of Japan would certainly do well in. It depends though. There's a lot of tournaments in Japan, a lot of, I've done alright personally in anything that didn't really involve the police. So if the police weren't involved, then I'd do alright. I could even sort of butt heads a bit with some of the Jitsugyodan company people, and even with some of the prison guards and stuff, I'd do alright with. University students as well didn't really, that was kind of tit for tat sometimes. They're quite a bit younger than me, so but at the same time, I think I did alright in a couple of tournaments that were even qualifiers for the national level tournaments, but they were the ones where the division was separated. So I was in the kind of not policeman division. So I'd say any tournament where the police weren't in it, or even if we're talking about having a real shot of winning, like taking first place, then yeah, if you talk about stuff like what they call shakaijin level, so the regular persons tournaments, then yeah, absolutely. I came second in one, and almost won it in an individuals, and there's certainly people in other national teams that are better than me, so I certainly think that they could achieve victory in some of the tournaments over there. Throwing them into the All Japan Police Championships or something, well, I don't know. That's different. I don't know. We'd have to see what happens. But it's a different ball game, that, to be honest. But again, it depends on it depends. It really depends. Anything can happen in Shiai, right? So, you've mentioned the US national team. Well, they beat the Japanese national team before. Yeah, so there's nothing to say that those guys couldn't do just as well in Japan. You never know. So yeah, I do think at local level Shinai, particularly with when the police are involved, like some of the qualifying tournaments, or they have like what's called the Danbets Taikai often in lots of places, which is separated into Dan grades. So I'd be in like the 5th Dan division or whatever. And like in the 5th Dan division, it was me and just a load of policemen. And like maybe 1 or 2 other like regular people. But like even with those, often, particularly at the local level, there is a kind of bit of, I don't know if it's, I would say probably unintentional like bias from the Shimpan towards the police players, especially, certainly not towards me, not towards, you know, when I was playing, I if I lost fair and square, but you know, sometimes I did see matches where they were sort of really favouring one of the players more so than the others. And even within the police, there's some that are more famous than others that tend to kind of win. You know, but I mean, I guess that's the case anyway. I don't think it's an intentional thing. I think it's part and parcel of having human referees. So that's that, really. So yeah, that's my sort of thoughts on that, to be honest. So yeah, I thought, yeah, that's the questions for today anyway. Leave me some more. There's a comment section down below. That's where you can leave questions. Just before I go, I'm going to have a little rant on something, just about something I touched on yesterday, and I've been thinking about it a lot since I talked about it yesterday. We talked about, there was a question about doing the sampo mamori, which is when you do the very harsh block, like this 3-point block. And the question was about if we're always taught not to do that and that it's bad, but why do you see it at high level Shiai? And I sort of said something that didn't kick up as much controversy as I was probably expecting. So that's why I've kind of decided to step out on a limb and bring it up again. I said that it's not bad to do that, or it's not like wrong to do that. I mean, it's not good to do it, but it's kind of what happens when it gets to the Shiai, you know? It's just not a great strategy. Now, I was thinking about this more, and I was watching a few videos in relation to it, and I did watch a couple as well, and I heard some Japanese senseis talk about it, actually. And yeah, I mean, the thing about that is it's not... There's 2 things that kind of made me think about it. The question that came yesterday was like, well, if we think about it as budo and not as sports, then we shouldn't do it. But like, if you talk about budo, it depends how you look at it. Like, I often see it kind of mixed with the group of people that are like, well, Kendo's about real sword fighting. Well, if Kendo's about real sword fighting, you're definitely going to try and defend your life as much as you can, right? So I think there's that, but I mean, as you know, as I've gone into, I don't think that Kendo is that directly relatable to real sword fighting. But for me, I mean, blocking in that way, it's instinct. It's instinctive. When someone comes and attacks you and tries to hit you, it's instinctive to block. It's a natural human thing, and I think that's normal. And to say, oh, you shouldn't do that, is kind of taking away from the human element of the shobu in a way. The shobu being the victory and loss of the match. What is your job to do as a competitor or as a kendoka in general is to try and attack. Try and attack at the point where the opponent cannot instinctively react. So for me, I think the best way to look at it, especially if you look at it from the point of view of budo and not from the point of view of sports, is if your opponent is blocking your attack from the sampo mamori, it means that there was a weakness in your kendo as well, an inability to create or attack at the right opportunity. So for example, essentially, I was, you know, if I attack and they block like this, that's me that's wrong because I attacked at the wrong time. I attacked when they were able to block. What I really need to be doing is I need to be hitting at the correct datotsu no kikai, the correct opportunities for striking. And this is a very difficult thing, but there's simpler ones, you know, like, you know, perhaps, okay, then I should get him to attack me so I can use Dabana Waza or Ojiwaza. Or I should try and have better seme so that I can increase my chances of striking before he's able to react to my my movements. So yeah, I want you to sort of take that away, really. Think about it and let me know what you think, because I don't like it when I hear people saying, oh, people blocking all the time. It's similar to like when people dodge their heads like this. I know it doesn't look nice, right? But if you attack someone and they dodge their head out of the way, it's you that attacked in the wrong moment. It's not their fault for dodging their head. That's an instinct. That's natural. And yeah, of course, it's their weakness as well in their inability to be able to do anything about it. But if your attack had been at the right timing in the first place, then they wouldn't have had the ability to do that. Yeah, I think especially if you want to take it more in the way of Budo, that mentality is even more important, because I think we often tend to blame our opponents for our own failures. I've done it before. I'm not sort of, but if you really want to improve, you really want to get better and really walk the path in the right way, then I think you really need to turn that back on yourself and say, okay, well, he was able to dodge. Okay, he was able to block. That means I was wrong. That means I attacked at the wrong time. I wasn't able to make the opportunity. I wasn't able to elicit the reaction I wanted to. Instead of going, oh, that guy just blocked, or he just dodged his head out of the way. Like, yeah, that's because you kind of messed up when you attacked. Is the best way to look at it. That's what I think anyway. So that'll do. It's turned into a bit of a ramble rather than a rant, but I hope you found it useful. Hope you enjoyed the answers to the questions. Leave me some more down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all the stuff you know what to do. Shop at KendoStar. Shop at KendoStar.com. KendoStar.com is the best. It's the equipment website that I run, of course. It's dead good quality gear. It's all designed for international Kendo practitioners. Really protective ball gear, really comfortable. It's the best place around. Everyone who shops there really loves it. If you haven't bought anything from there, give it a try. I'm sure you won't regret it. And of course, that's what supports these videos. It's thanks to KendoStar that I'm able to sit and record videos like this. So if you like what I'm doing, make sure you're doing your shopping at KendoStar.com. Okay, thanks a lot for watching today, and see you next time.